So first of all, I have to of course congratulate Adam Edge Copeland and Beth Phoenix on the birth of their daughter recently. News leaked out about the pregnancy of Beth Phoenix just a couple of months ago, and I'm really glad to say that it seems to have gone well, and according to Edge in an interview, everything is absolutely fine. So congratulations to the pair. They've been going out for a while. Of course, Edge in his previous relationships and Beth Phoenix and her previous relationships, of course, got together during both their times in the WWE. Now, talking also of things yet to come, Take-Two Interactive have, of course, confirmed that the WWE's next franchise video game, WWE 2K15, will be produced for release later this year. This was all sorts of rumours as they took over the rights from THQ in about early to mid 2013. The other company, of course, Take-Two Games, that do the NBA titles, and they actually, there was lots of rumours. Will they be able to make a game this year? Will they not? But they have now confirmed it will, and I do hope it will be on the next generation of consoles. I fully expect it to. I certainly believe over the course of the next year, 18 months certainly, the next generation consoles like the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4s will of course replace, with the release of all the games coming up, the current generations of consoles. That is all pretty obvious to anybody, I'm sure. Now, also, talking about signing contracts and so forth, the reports are, again, and this is a bit of an update to the situation, but the Icon, Sting and WWE are reportedly ready to sign the contract. Whatever type, there's a lot of different rumours, whether it's a Legends contract, whether it's a talent contract, but apparently Sting and WWE are about ready to sign a contract. Now, there's been people saying that this is one of the reasons why this has not happened, because WWE does not see this as a high priority thing. I know that a lot of fans have been wanting to see Sting in the WWE for years, even over 12 years ago when WCW was bought out, when he was under contract to AOL, Time Warner, or whoever the owners were at that time. Sting was being paid by them, not WCW, the actual company, as with a few other guys like Bill Goldberg. So WWE really couldn't sign them. Although I'm sure if they'd made an offer to the people paying their wage at the AOL Time Warner setup, I'm sure if they'd made a good enough offer, they would have accepted and they would have been free to sign the likes of Sting or Goldberg. It's a bit distressing news that it seems that WWE does not see this as a high priority. I don't think that obviously we'll see Sting at WrestleMania 30. Obviously I would think it would be like a Goldberg situation where he came in after the day after WrestleMania 19, and we thought he might appear at the pay-per-view, and then he didn't. So we might see Sting perhaps after WrestleMania. Now, also, not signing a contract with WWE, it seems, is a guy called Kenta Kobayashi. Not to be mixed up with Kenta Kobashi. Kenta Kobayashi is a young, I think he's 33 years old, a Japanese wrestling star. He is the innovator and creator of moves like the go-to sleep, which a lot of Western fans know that CM Punk uses, and of course the Anaconda Vice as well. He's invented and revolutionised a lot of moves, and he's a huge star in Japan for the organisation Pro Wrestling Noah. He had a tryout at WWE. Apparently, reports indicate that he said that he will not be signing a WWE contract. As I said when on the CM Punk Sting Kenta Rumours video, the door is open for him. I'm sure if he wishes to sign a contract, and WWE will always be attractive to big stars in different countries because of the reasons I said, because of the worldwide coverage, the pay that WWE could offer, the opportunities that WWE offers, everything about the WWE. It's very attractive to many wrestlers. it seems he may not be signing a contract. The thing is with Pro Wrestling Noah, it's much smaller organisation. He does have some, I believe, backstage duties. So those prospects to him may be, unfortunately, more interesting to him, and he may be thinking of down that line for in a few years if he decides to retire or has to retire. He has had several injuries. Um, you know, perhaps going down the road of working in Pro Wrestling Noah backstage after his career, maybe he sees that as his possible future. I was listening to a podcast, and I'll give you details at the end of this video, but there was a great quote by the guest saying, either you have to in wrestling, either you have to plan your exit, or wrestling will do it for you, and if wrestling does it for you, then you will not like it. Now, of course, a lot of different saying, like said about the rumours video about CM Punk leaving, and upon one of the latest rumours, because backstage rumour things about people leaving, is potentially WWE star, former WWE World Heavyweight and WWE Champion Alberto Del Rio. Now, he's reportedly been discussing his WWE future backstage, and some people are saying it's not positive news for the company, and he's possibly leaving, or at least thinking about leaving, once his contract is up. Now, of course, the thing is, though, I know a little bit about this situation because I followed Alberto Del Rio before he was in WWE, when he was in CMLL, Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre. It's the Mexican wrestling organization. It's the biggest wrestling organization in Mexico. Of course, the other one is AAA. They're the two major organizations in Mexico. And Alberto Del Rio has always said in interviews that he did not want to wrestle once he considers himself getting that little bit older. And so he is starting to get that way, starting a little bit older. I think he's like 40 or something, 41. He's starting to get a little bit older. He's had a great career, a hugely successful career in WWE. Like I said, he's former WWE and World Heavyweight Champion. Really hugely successful guy, even though he's been putting over Batista lately, which I don't agree about. But he's had huge success in Mexico, which he then absolutely. I mean, he was a huge star in Mexico. Worked with all the top guys, like the original Sin Cara and Ultimo Guerrero and Averno. A lot of Atlantis, all loads of the top guys. He even actually held the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship. And they don't give it to guys easy in Mexico and Japan for the world titles. So he was hugely successful in Mexico. He didn't really show the skill that I thought that he had potential in Mexico, but he has done tremendously well in WWE. Perhaps the success that he's had in WWE will enable him to actually move himself away from wrestling. Of course, his father, Dos Caras, and his uncle is, of course, the legendary Mil Mascaras. I'm sure Alberto Del Rio will obviously consider things carefully before he decides what to do, and if he does or does not sign a WWE contract again. Now, I made a video on this. You can go through the list on my WWE Network full pay-per-view, full PPV list video. Just search it on my channel. WWE have confirmed over 400 plus pay-per-view events from WWE, WCW, and ECW. That's WWE World Championship Wrestling and Extreme Championship Wrestling, and of course its predecessor Eastern Championship Wrestling, will be available to view when the WWE Network hits the US, and it's the US only again, on February the 24th. Now, one of the shocking and a little bit surprising inclusions on that pay-per-view list is Over the Edge 1999. What is so dramatic about that choice, about including that pay-per-view? Well, as many wrestling fans know, that was the day That was the pay-per-view. That was the event where the tragedy occurred. The late great Owen Hart tragically died on that fall from the ceiling of the Kemper Arena in Kansas, Missouri. It was a terrible tragedy. Now, luckily, that was not caught on camera. They did a little bit of a video, a backstage, a little video vignette thing, talking about the feud between Blue Blazer, which was Owen Hart. That was the character he originally played in WWE. Then he shed the Blue Blazer gimmick and wrestled as himself to much acclaim. But he had returned to it very recently, and while they were showing the video about the feud between the Godfather and the Blue Blazer, as I said, Owen Hart. That's when the accident occurred, and obviously it switched back to Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross saying, we've got huge problems out here. They threw it to a backstage interview with the Blue Blazer, Owen, saying, "Oh, the Godfather makes my blood boil," and it's on YouTube. It's on different video websites. It's stuff that you can see. But it's a very distressing pay-per-view. I know some people have not liked the fact that this is going to be included. I myself have mixed reservations about this. Mixed feelings really about it, because it was a decent pay-per-view. Other than that, if you took out the Owen Hart death, if that never happened, it would be a really good pay-per-view. But obviously, as I said, I'm glad that no footage. And obviously, if it did air on the pay-per-view, they might not have included it, or certainly edit it right out of the pay-per-view, but it's one I think that a lot of fans will, like myself actually, will not want to watch on the WWE network. Obviously some people might check it out to see, okay, then is it edited in any way? Is it actually, cut out of it? Is about the Blue Blazer Godfather bits, or is it in full? But it is certainly a pay-per-view that inclusion that will divide opinions. I actually originally saw the pay-per-view when it first, just after it aired live. My uncle actually taped it for me. We used to get my uncle to tape the WWE pay-per-views for a while, and that was one that he randomly taped, just he noticed it was on over the edge. He thought, oh, it's a WWE wrestling pay-per-view. My nephews will like that, so he taped it, and literally a couple of days later he brought the tape up. Of course, I watched it, very upset and all of it, but certainly it's going to be a controversial inclusion. But looking on the upside, not to leave the subject on a bad thing, all of these pay-per-views on the WWE network for the $9.99 a month in the US, that is really worth it. You go get the latest monthly pay-per-view included from the WWE. There's a lot of great pay-per-views, a lot of great action on the WWE network. Again, I am looking forward to the launch of it here in the UK and checking that out. Now, also, talking about checking out, there's an article now on the WWE website, WWE.com, on Ring of Honor Wrestling. If you haven't heard of Ring of Honor, it's a great organisation, launched, I think it was 2002, and it has featured a lot of great matches with great talent from all around the world, and it is the promotion that the likes of CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Antonio Cesaro, Samoa Joe, and many others have made their name in, having excellent matches. Check stuff out on YouTube, type in Ring of Honor Wrestling and ROH, and they've also got a YouTube channel, and they air a lot of episodes and vignettes and stuff. Check them out. It really is a wrestling organisation, set up by, I think it was Carrie Silken. It's a really good organisation. I've watched it since the start of the organisation, when we used to get it here in the UK on the Wrestling Channel. It's unusual for WWE to actually not even to even acknowledge another wrestling organisation, never mind to have a full article on how that organisation has provided WWE with superstars over the years. But certainly a lot of these guys, like you said, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, many others have worked in Ring of Honor, gained a lot of skills and experience there, It's worth checking out. Ring of Honor is a great organisation that continues to bring out new stars, and there are a few in Ring of Honor that certainly could possibly be future WWE signings. Now, talking of signings, a organisation in Puerto Rico, the World Wrestling League, has signed Sin Cara to a contract. Now, I'm not talking about the current Sin Cara in WWE. I'm talking about Luis Alverde, the original Sin Cara, the original, also known as the original Mystico. Now, he has signed a contract with the promotion to appear at some of their shows. He was released from his WWE contract in mid-January. The contract expired. It wasn't re-signed. He did a free show just outside his gym, his Sin Cara gym, to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of that, which featured actually CMLL star La Sombra as a surprise guest. I've seen some of the fan cam video of it. It looked okay match. Obviously, this is a way of Luis Alverde, the original Sin Cara, moving away from WWE. Now, he has claimed that he owns the rights to the Sin Cara character, so whether WWE or even Luis Alverde will actually launch legal action to fully claim the rights of the character is at this stage unknown. I do know that WWE obviously has a history, and you don't blame them for really protecting their characters, their trademarks, their copyrights over the years. So even though it seems that they haven't, or they didn't trademark the Sin Cara character in Mexico, only time will tell if there is going to be any legal action from either side. But it's going to be something I'm going to keep an eye on and see whether the original Sin Cara actually moves back into the wrestling fold in Mexico. He's related to several guys in the CMLL backstage and the organisation. Obviously, there's been people, as I said earlier, that AAA is the other organisation in Mexico. There have been some talks about AAA maybe perhaps wanting to sign him. I know Conan on one of the MLW radio podcasts said, obviously, if we could get into an agreement to sign Alverde Sin Cara, we of course would be very interested in signing this major star. He's got potential to work with a lot of our guys he's not worked with before. Could be some good matches, at least some good income, I think, to be honest, in my opinion, for AAA in that manner if they were to sign the original Sin Cara. Now, talking about the WWE Network earlier, this is one thing I'm a little bit concerned about. I don't know how, and it's obviously going to affect it, but the WWE releasing of DVDs, they're now scheduled, apparently in the UK at least on July 7th so far, scheduled to release a Best of the Great American Bash DVD. This is of course the former WCW and actually WWE pay-per-view. Now WWE of course had the Great American Bash from 2004 to 2008, and no word yet if any of the WWE matches, which to be honest I'm sure there'll be one or two included in this multi-disc set. And I do think that, well, it's on with this WWE Network, what WWE will do when it comes to compilation sets like that, even about a superstar, will they release them, continue to release them as physical DVDs? So, say Goldust, he has not had a DVD about him, and I would love one about him. Will they continue to release the physical DVD sets, or will they make links through WWE Networks, like almost like a YouTube channel where some of the videos you can clip together, and you make like you can make a viewing list of videos on your channel. Will they just do that? Will they keep releasing actual DVDs, or just put up they'll be looking for original content for the WWE Network, along with the NXTs, the Raws, the SmackDowns. They'll be looking to make original content. Will they just release documentaries for the superstars let it put it on the WWE Network, and then just simply search for the best matches? We suggest match 1 this, match 2 that, match 3 this as well. Will they do that, or will they continue to release DVDs once the WWE Network is actually released worldwide? Because obviously once it's unveiled worldwide, we'll all be able to go and search out all these matches using the search option. So you can find Dustin Rhodes versus Terry Funk, or Dustin Rhodes versus Rick Rude, or Steve Austin, or whatever. What will WWE's attitude be towards these kind of DVD sets? I hope they keep up in some way the superstar profiles, like I said. People like Dustin Rhodes, Goldust, and a lot of others like Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. Those kind of guys, they deserve those kind of treatments. DVDs, documentaries, specials about them. They absolutely deserve it. So hopefully, in some way, these will continue, even if WWE does start, and that would be a major thing, of course, for WWE to do, start pulling out of the physical DVD, Blu-ray market. Although, as I said, no reports about this so far about them any plans to do so whatsoever at this present time. But obviously, a lot of this kind of content continues to be more and more digitalized. Now, a couple of quick things. Firstly, Betty White is going to be the guest star on WWE Raw next week. Of course, we are building up now on the road to WrestleMania. Elimination Chamber is happening on February the 23rd, 2014, Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Only matches officially announced so far is, of course, the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan versus The Shield, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. And the Elimination Chamber match itself, there will be a single one Elimination Chamber match this year, as Randy Orton will defend the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against John Cena, Sheamus, Daniel Bryan, Antonio Cesaro, and Christian. To be honest, I can't see Randy Orton actually losing this match. I think they're building up to Batista versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 30 for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. What's the story about that? There's always a backstage story, backstage video kind of thing, a vignette about it. What's it going to be? It's obvious. They both started in Evolution. They both rose to be big stars. It's going to be a case of Randy Orton dominated the World Heavyweight title, and Batista dominated the WWE titles, and they both become multiple-time world champions and huge stars. And Randy, of course, some part of the story will have to be Randy Orton's always been WWE. Batista went away, did a lot of other things, MMA and movies. He's got a couple of movies coming up. Apparently he's signed for a couple of movies for 2016. So we'll see how long this return lasts. But certainly it's going to be as the story of both starting Evolution, both end up being multiple-time World Heavyweight Champions, headlining WrestleMania against the biggest talent in the world, and the stage where they're at now in their lives and their careers. But to be honest, I don't know how they're going to present this. Obviously, I think, in my honest opinion, that they were hoping that Batista coming back, certainly from the vignettes they showed, and I hate to keep using the vignettes on this video, but the videos that they did before Batista returned a couple of weeks ago was all the fans cheering him, the fans loving him. One of the biggest, most popular stars in the WWE. I think obviously they were hoping Randy Orton as a heel, a bad guy, and Batista as the good guy, returning hero kind of thing. And as we know, we've had the reaction of Boo Tista, Bootista, Boo Tista. Everybody's booing them, both of them out of the building. It could be one of the most unpopular WrestleMania main events. Obviously, they're WWE, it's WrestleMania 30. I cannot see them doing anything other. than the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, especially in its inaugural WrestleMania. Whatever you think about the the timelines of the various world titles, I can't see them doing anything else other than the WWE World Heavyweight Championship being the main event of WrestleMania 30. It's what WrestleMania was built upon, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Apart from the first one, I believe it's been defended every single one. Of course, the first one was a tag team match with the champion Hulk Hogan, but certainly it's going to be, I think, Randy Orton versus Batista at WrestleMania 30 for the WWE World Heavyweight title. I think that is just a bit obvious at this stage, but it's going to happen. Obviously, the hard, difficult thing is with these two guys, they're both getting booed. I don't know whether they're going to try and switch Randy Orton to like a babyface because they've been playing him against the authorities in the last few weeks. I'm saying he's got a problem with the authorities and he's been reacting badly, well, in a negative way to the authorities. And well, to be honest, there are a lot of WWE storylines, but that may just be WWE, putting, like I said before, the heat on the authorities. They're the heels. They're supposed to get heat. They're supposed to have everybody hating them. I just think that's the WWE doing it well, either by accident or design. They've got the authority as the heels, and they are really getting the heat from the WWE universe. Either by accident or design, I think WWE are doing it well. They're getting the heat on the authority. Are they trying to turn Randy Orton a little bit? Possibly. Like I said, if he's been outspoken against the authorities in the recent couple of weeks, obviously two bad guys going against each other in a main event is not something good. They want fans to support at least one of them, to have some kind of interest in it, like Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania for the WWE and Intercontinental Championships. That was, people had a huge interest in that because it was two of their heroes. And if it's two people they don't like, they won't have much interest in it. And some people obviously may feel, I don't want to buy the pay-per-view because, it's, or I don't want to pay for the WWE Network if you're in the US to watch that match. But, obviously, it's continuing storylines, it's continuing build-up to WrestleMania. We're not even really getting started, I think, on the build-up to WrestleMania properly. Obviously, it'll really kick off into high gear around the time of Elimination Chamber and in the few weeks leading up to WrestleMania itself. Now, I said that quote earlier in the video about, either you make your, you decide, you plan to go out of wrestling, or wrestling will make a plan for you to leave wrestling, and if wrestling makes a plan for you to leave wrestling, you won't like it. That was a quote by Chavo Guerrero Jr. You may see action wearing. I happen to wear been wearing the T-shirt today. Actually, why I said that because he is on the Talk Is Jericho podcast this week. It is now 2 times a week on Wednesday and Friday. So we got on Wednesday we got part 1. Today we got part 2 of the Chris Jericho podcast with his guest Chavo Guerrero Jr. Now, it's a very unusual podcast. It's a very detailed talk between Chris Jericho and Chavo about mutual friends like Eddie and Chris Benoit, and they talk about both of their passing, extremely detailed, their experiences with both guys, obviously the sudden passing of both of them, the circumstances of both, the aftermath, what they thought about it. It's really detailed, and to be honest, Chavo, like I said, Chavo was right there. He was Eddie's nephew, more like a brother, because they grew up together. They were only 3 years apart. They really were close. They were together all the time, especially when Chavo started in WCW, when Eddie was already there. And it's a really detailed talk about both their passings like I've never heard. I don't think that Chavo has ever talked as detailed about both of those situations as he has done on the Talk Is Jericho podcast. I urge people to take a listen to the Talk Is Jericho podcast. It's on podcast1.com. That's podcastone.com, or on iTunes for free. I'm going to hold on for doing my podcast video talking about the different wrestling podcasts, because there's a couple of changes coming up on a couple of the podcasts, and I'm going to wait till a couple of them start and a couple of them reorganise themselves so I get the details right. But it really is, if you're a wrestling fan and you really want to listen to a podcast about Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and all of the situation and all the stuff, and especially Chavo's career, who made a great career on his own, and I had the pleasure of actually meeting him and watching him wrestle live in August 2012, which is when I got the t-shirt when he was here in Scotland for Scottish Wrestling Entertainment at their Hell for Like 9 event. It's just a really emotional, very detailed podcast. One with a lot of, like I said, a lot of details and some stuff a lot of people don't know, stuff that he has never talked about before. So check that out. It's certainly an interesting one. Obviously, they get emotional, and there's different aspects that a lot of people don't know about in the wrestling. You don't really know a lot of the insights. A lot of people claim to know a lot of the inside stuffs and the relationships between different talents and the organisations and that, but you never know the full details unless you're actually part of that inner circle. And Chavo gives a lot of the great details and talks very intimately. Obviously, Chris Jericho, a long-time friend of his, continues to be, of course. But Chavo is really open with a lot of the details and a lot of the stuff, like I said, I don't think he's ever talked about before. So check out the podcast Talk is Jericho, podcast1.com, and on iTunes.